Hello, Ball Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Ferguson. Today we got a good one. I have on a special guest / co-host and friend of mine, Reed Bacon. We're talking about Kevin Steele, the fact that he's leaving, some recruits picking other teams over Tennessee, and share some Big Orange juice, some juicy stories from my playing days and some stuff he experienced. So without further ado, let's start the show.
Tie the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir, Reed. No, sir, Reed. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
A word from our sponsors at Bet Online. So NBA is in full swing. You got college basketball going into the madness of March. You got your NCAA tournament coming up. You also have your conference championships coming up. So ton of places to bet, and the place to go is Bet Online. With the tournament coming up, there is a $100,000 Bracket Madness contest at Bet Online. It is the spot for your bracketology bets. You have to go to Bet Online. They're covering all the news, the scores, the odds, and it's the best way to place your bets. And it's free to sign up, so nothing to lose. Head over to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device and sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Okay, so I am welcoming on a special guest today. He might be a co-host moving forward. He is one of my great friends from high school. Huge UT fan, huge Titans fan. Also played a little football in college at Memphis. And I think he's just going to be a great fit and be able to give a fan's perspective, because I think sometimes that's something I'm missing. Please welcome Reed Bacon.
What's up, Kyler? This is awesome. So it's funny because we talk almost every day, and I think you just hit the nail on the head talking about the fan perspective. Just because I guess we came up with this idea because I always listen to the podcast. Then I call you, and then we get in arguments and stuff because I see stuff differently, I guess. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm excited. It's literally like we're talking on the phone, but hopefully some listeners find it enjoyable, and like the points. Maybe they feel like I'm bringing up points that they want to ask you because you're the former player. You're the one that's done it. You're the one that's been around these hot button coaches of Dooley and Butch and then all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. Like you said, going to Knoxville Catholic together and us meeting my sophomore year, your freshman year, good old biology class.
That's right.
Yeah. So and yeah, it's been great. Obviously, we're good friends, but as you know, I've been a huge fan of yours, just like a younger brother / best friend, but my big brother. And just watching you, and I guess I feel like I know what it feels like somewhat to be a parent because I'm sitting there watching UT games, and I'm locked in on 77. So
yeah, no, the only reason I bring you on so you can talk about me more, about how great I am.
You are incredible. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll help make you feel better.
Yeah, but It is really true. I would put a podcast out. Reed would call me. He would argue with me and help me remember different stories in which I thought people are missing out. People want to hear this. People want to, know exactly what happened when I was in college or, maybe some experiences in the NFL. And I forget about them when I'm sitting by myself. So I thought it'd be great just to have a co-host, just to have somebody who can kind of remind me of those things.
Yeah, I actually think, but we've been doing this even when you were playing. I remember whether you were at UT or when you went and you were in the NFL. I was calling you, we were talking every day, every other day. And I'm like, wait, what? You get to see Tom Brady? like you tried to block Joe McCoy. And so we've been talking about stuff like that. But yeah, I'd listen to the podcast and I would call you about whatever you talked about. And then I felt like you were giving some great insight. And I'm like, dang, like that's what they need to, that's what the listeners need to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just here to stir the pot.
Yes, that is your job. So I'm happy you're here to facilitate with that.
There you go.
So first topic we'll jump into, because hot button just happened the other day, is Kevin Steele being let go. This was kind of writing on the wall. People saw it coming, especially when you're bringing in a new coaching staff, a new AD. Coaches don't last. But it is almost a clear-cut representation of what's been happening at UT recently. The fact that we're paying a guy almost $1 million to not be our coach.
Yeah. And it's funny because looking at it a couple different ways, as one fan perspective, I'm like, great, like we just look like a bunch of clowns again. We bring somebody in, we don't bring somebody in. I think when Kevin Steele got brought in, we all just assumed that that Pruitt was gone. Kind of they were going to bring him in and get rid of Pruitt, let him kind of, like you've said on past podcasts, just kind of ride the wave, kind of man the ship until they found something else, which I don't know Kevin Steele. I don't know much about him. I didn't want him as our head coach. We didn't hire him 3 years ago. Auburn didn't want to keep him. So doesn't mean he's not a great coach. I just think it's kind of been there, done that. We want some new blood. And the funny thing is everyone wants to talk about, well, I wish I could make $900,000 for, 51 days of work. And like I said, it makes us look bad. But then again, this sounds terrible. It's like, it's not my money. So hey, good on Kevin Steele. Like go get you the money when you can. But yeah, I don't. I'll be interested to see if he lands anywhere, where he lands, what he's gonna do. But honestly, Kyler, like if we had kept him around, I would have been fine with it. I think he could have definitely helped. But this is Heupel's show. Let him do what he wants. I want him to get started on a path that it's his time now. So if he didn't want him there, I'm fine with it. And sounds bad, but get as much new blood in here as we can. And as a fan's perspective, fingers crossed that this one actually works.
Yeah, so. I think it's kind of strange because I don't know if you necessarily want Kevin Steele over Tim Banks. I don't know if it's he's a better defensive coordinator than the other. I do think Tim Banks has some stuff in his past that's a little sketchy. When you really look at it, the fact that he was at Illinois and literally got replaced at his job in 1 year, like was at Illinois as a defensive coordinator for 3 years. His last year, they brought in a guy and they co-defensive coordinated, and then Tim Banks was let go, and the guy got the job. So it's almost so much worse that way. But like you said, I wouldn't have minded Kevin Steele. But I think whenever a coach is hired, he has a certain idea in mind. He has a certain plan in mind. He has certain guys in mind that he wants to bring into the program. And Kevin Steele just wasn't that. Kevin Steele was, in Jeremy Pruitt's mind, a guy to bring in, or maybe Philip Fulmer's. I'm not sure who made that decision, but he wasn't on Heupel's board, is what I would say.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm happy you just said Philip, because I don't yeah, I don't know if it was Jeremy that wanted him in or not, or if it was the administration and Philip, and they were trying to maybe get some good pub, or really thought I think they probably thought Kevin Steele was really going to be able to come in and give a calming influence or just a good person to get. I was probably excited maybe to have his recruiting, and I just wanted him to bring some of the guys from Auburn with him. We'll take all the help. We'll take all the help we can get, but. Yeah, and like I told you when we were talking on the phone, I haven't really looked into Tim Banks much. I know you have. It scares me if an offensive coordinator or defense coordinator hadn't been calling plays, or they were co-defense and co-offensive, coordinators. But then again, it's kind of like with recruiting. I try not to get too up and down about these coaches because we're not going to know until I'll wait until next fall on the Saturdays and watch and. That's kind of where I try to make my opinion because, as a fan, it doesn't really matter now. It's been done. So let's just give the guy a shot and see what's up.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. You kind of got to wait and see on a lot of this stuff. And, you bring up recruiting, it's the same thing. I wholeheartedly believe you really never know with recruits if they're, the 5 and the 4-star doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, I had plenty of guys I played with at Tennessee that were 4 and 5 stars that sucked, that could not put it together, that didn't understand the game. And, we'll go into that a little bit more. It's a reason why I don't necessarily get into recruiting as much, but to see some of recent recruits, the Ty Simpsons, the Caden Martins, Sam Horns, those quarterbacks that we miss out on. And I think Ty Simpson's the one that hurts a lot, and Caden Martin, just because they're both in Tennessee. They're Tennessee guys that we lost. We lost to other teams, and it almost seems like that should be an easy thing. I don't know if it necessarily is nowadays, though.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up. And I think it's a good perspective on this because neither of us get too much about in recruiting. And I think we'll have some good recruiting stories because you and I sit and I'll be like, well, what about this person? And you'll be like, Reed, trash, couldn't play. And so we can get into that later because I think that stuff as a fan perspective is fascinating because the media builds these people up. They talk about these recruits. They come on campus, and then you were there with them. Like you were in practice with them. You saw it. And so I always used to ask you about that stuff. But, yeah, about Ty Simpson and Sam Horn and Caden Martin, I mean, yeah, all the buddies that I talk to that are huge, huge homers, huge Tennessee fans, love and, they definitely get upset and they ride the recruiting wave, and I get it. I mean, it's what college football is now. But just from my perspective, like one thing that nobody's talking about is these guys aren't playing this year. Like these guys are not going to be on campus in a week or two. They're not going to be in spring practice. Like Sam Horn, Caden Martin, Ty Simpson, they got a whole nother year of high school football. And so who's to say that they don't flip, that they don't change their commitment. And I have not heard anybody say that. Well, maybe one local radio here that one guy mentioned that they could still flop or switch, but I don't even really watch the ratings. I guess the one thing I usually do care about, which in this instance stinks for Ty Simpson, is I just want to know who Saban's going after. I want to know who, when Urban was a coach, who Florida was going after, who or Ohio State when he was at Ohio State. But yeah, Dabo at Clemson, Ryan Day now at Ohio State. Like, I mean, if those guys are getting recruited there, okay. So that's why the Ty Simpson kind of stinks. Now, on Ty Simpson, I've watched maybe a little bit of his film, but I got some good buddies still out in the West Tennessee area and family out there. And so I asked them, and supposedly and I'm not trying to knock the kid, just supposedly the classification or the division he was playing in wasn't that great, so I don't know how big of a deal that was. Like I said, I don't know it a ton. We both played high school football in this state. So we know a little bit about some of the schools and the classifications, but yeah, I don't think it's a huge, I guess it's a huge deal for optics. And I'm not going to lie to you as a fan. If I had seen that he committed, I would have been pumped just because give Heupel and give the Hill and give us fans something to cheer about. But it could change. And with Sam Horn, that could change too. I mean, if Missouri goes out and doesn't have a good year and Heupel lights it up, I mean, it could change in a drop of a hat. We could get somebody better. And last thing, or two more things, is I do actually like the quarterbacks we have on roster. I at least think they're going to be good enough for the first Heupel year. And then as a Catholic homer, I love Catholic to death. I went there. I will always say that it's one of the best, my favorite high school clearly, but one of the best high schools in East Tennessee. But Cade Martin's not a quarterback. Like, I don't know the kid. I've just watched as a fan. I've talked to people over there. He's just not a quarterback. Like, straight from my opinion, straight from a fan's opinion, like he should go play baseball. So I'm not worried about losing out on him. I know he's T. Martin's kid, but I'd rather have the other T. Martin. I would rather have Amari. But one of that things that I kind of know of from being around Catholic and being around these different kids and being around these people, it was almost all these fans want to say, well, he's T. Martin's kid, whether it's Caden or Amari, he's just going to go to UT. Sometimes people don't want that. Sometimes people don't want to be T. Martin's kid.
Yeah.
You go to Clemson and you're Amari Rogers. Like, and so even on your last podcast with Jimmy Himes, like, you said that UT had a spit where they stopped recruiting you hard. And you're a huge Tennessee fan. You lived in the shadow of Nayland growing up, and like, so maybe they did that with Amari, but I just don't think Caden's a loss at all. And I feel bad saying that, but it's just, I don't think he was ever going to play quarterback for us.
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat agree. I watched a few games where he was at quarterback because he's right there. I mean, at Catholic, and we always go back and watch sometimes on Friday nights. So, I did watch a few of his games and never thought, oh wow, this is an amazing thrower of the football. He was athletic, he was able to move, which is nice. But I didn't ever think this is the best quarterback I've ever seen. So I agree with you in saying it's not a huge loss. And, what you said about they could possibly change their minds nowadays with the way the transfer portal is, it literally doesn't matter where you even sign. Like, it doesn't matter where you sign because you could leave the next year and it'd be completely easy. You could start right away and, never miss out on anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about the transfer, the portal and what that's going to be. And yeah, I'm just not going to, like I said, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, because if Ty Simpson have committed, I would have just been happy just for the free pub. Just give me all the free pub. Give me all the good juju we can take. But was he ever going to come here and be, I still remember when people were talking about JG was going to come in. He was a four-star recruit. He's supposed to come in and save the day. And now, like, we couldn't stand the guy as a quarterback as fans. Like, he was one of the most frustrating individuals. And so, then it was Harrison Bailey who's supposed to come in and be the savior. And, I actually liked Harrison Bailey. I thought what I watched from him, I thought he did fine. I really, really did. What I saw and what I watched, I liked it. But now it's like people want to write him off and bring in, I guess, Caden Salter.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it's just it's the environment we live in. On to the next.
Never-ending cycle of what's next? What's next? Please.
Yeah.
I think Harrison Bailey is a good quarterback. I think he still has a chance to be our starter and really help us out in the future. And I think it's great, the three quarterbacks that we do have, and Caden Salter and Hooker from Virginia Tech. It just breeds competition. I mean, you want good guys in your room, and like, it goes back to that video of Nick Saban, his recruiting pitch. He's just like, we have the best guys here, so you're going to compete with the best people in the nation. Why would you want to go somewhere else and compete against schmucks?
Right. Well, so I actually got a question for you. So you set me up perfectly, because you just mentioned Harrison Bailey, Salter, and Hooker from Virginia Tech. but Maurer is still here. I guess people thought he would leave. But the funny thing is he was recruited pretty hard to UCF. And when I guess Heupel recruited him and that staff recruited him hard. So, and I don't know, I can check facts and all that stuff and check into that. But from some of the people I've been talking to, they're like, hey, and granted, they made the point, UCF is not playing the same competition as UT. So maybe Heupel's like, hey, Brian Maurer can crush it in Conference USA or American Conference, whatever they're in. And now this is a different ball game. But I think he's kind of the forgotten person. Like, he's still here. He does bring some juice. I like his fire. I wish, he could tame it a little bit in certain, but do you think he's just completely out of the picture, or the fact that they recruited him and he almost went there type deal would have an impact?
I think it would have a huge impact. I didn't even know that he was recruited that hard at UCF. I think it's why he's still here. I thought for sure he was going to transfer. I thought he, saw some writing on the wall with Salter coming in and then Hooker transferring, and thought, I don't have a shot. But if Heupel loved him, 2 years ago and was recruiting the crap out of him, he thinks he has a shot, and I would think so too. I mean, if Heupel saw him as such a great quarterback, he probably likes him more than the other guys.
He could potentially be his guy, type deal. He could be his guy because he recruited, and I need to look into that more and check into that more. I'm almost positive he was pretty hard recruited. I don't know if he was like their number one or whatever the case may be, but yeah. And you know what? Like, I respect Maurer for a lot of different reasons. Like I said, I think we all love how fiery he is and how competitive he is, stuff like that. And yet that can take you so far, but we all want to win games. So if you're turning the ball over or doing this or that, not getting it done, but I just think he's the forgotten guy, and Heupel might say, I know this kid, I recruited him, and see what, like you said, 4 people, 3 people, let's get the competition going and see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think a lot of coaches, if they are a good coach, if they understand what they're talking about, think that, hey, I can help this kid become a better player, even if he did have those turnovers and dumb decisions, and there was things that he was struggling with, and maybe some overthrows or underthrows or things like that. But Heupel probably thinks I can coach him up, I can make him a better player, I can make it to where he can really help us on the field. And I think he probably has the best mix of throwing and running ability of all of the quarterbacks. When you really think of it, I think Salter does have that, but he's very young. Harrison's not quite as mobile as Maurer is. And then Hooker doesn't have quite an arm that Maurer does. He's very mobile, but when you really look at it, Brian might have the best package for the up-tempo, the high-powered offense that Heupel wants to run.
Yeah, and the thing about, I never listen to these press conferences when coaches start. You and I both know it's a bunch of coach speak, it's a bunch of this, that, and the other. But I did listen. I was at the office, and I did sit down and listen. And I told you this when we were talking on the phone. And the one thing that I did like that he said is, we're going to adapt to our players. And a lot of times coaches scare me when they want players to adapt to their system. It's like, that guy probably wasn't recruited for that when he was here before you came in. And I know they want to get their guys and stuff like that, but it just, that's one thing that Heupel said that I really liked. So I'm hoping, and if you do look at UCF, they did have, I forget his name. He was a stud. The one that got really, really badly injured, Mackenzie Milton, maybe was his name. He was a quarterback, and I think he was a little bit more mobile than the other kid that they brought in. I think he was from Hawaii. I think he's a little bit more of a passer. And so UCF did change what they did. And I do think Harrison Bailey's sneaky, a little bit more sneaky athletic or mobile than people say. But yeah, I mean, Brian Maurer has some juice. And I'll say this. If we're sitting here and it's late August, early September, and Caden Salter's our starter, I would be stoked. And that's because he came in and he's a stud, because we both know coming in as a true freshman how tough it is to compete and play at that level. So if that kid comes in and he's a starter, he might have an up and down freshman year, but it would be great things to say that this kid's good enough to get the starting job, so.
Yeah, and what I've seen on social media and what I've seen from him is he is very committed to being all vol. Like he is on the he's on the hype train. He's in the hype house. Like he is all about being a Tennessee Volunteer, and it's good to see because he was getting recruited with Pruitt, and then Heupel comes in and he doesn't change. He still wants to be at Tennessee. He wants to be a part of this team. He wants to bring us back to where we should be. And, that says a lot about his character, a lot about who he is. And that's what I like to see out of the players. I want them to care about Tennessee football, not care about, well, how many balls am I getting thrown to me, or how many snaps am I getting, or, how can I make more money? Like,
yeah,
I want you to care about the team too, man. Like I understand, NCAA rules are coming out and, guys are going to be able to get some money here and there and get paid differently. But at the end of the day, I want you to care about the university, care about Tennessee, care about going out there and performing for the guys you're playing next to.
Yeah. And first off, as fans, we love that. We love that. Like JG got a lot more leeway, at least in my opinion, and some of my friends, because his first couple of years, he was getting drilled. He was standing in the pocket. He was taking hits. And so I love that Brian Maurer, it hasn't transferred. He didn't take the easy way out, and he still may do it. And I'm not saying it is the easy way out, because you got to take advantage of your 4 or 5 years, go play, go have fun. If you want to try to chase the NFL dream, go chase that NFL dream. But I do commend him for staying here, seeing if he's going to try to fight for that job, see if he can win it. But yeah, fans, you get more leeway with the fans. And so I think that's why fans are going to love Caden Salter, because he is all ball. He's like, I'm coming. I don't care who's there. You always talk about it. Pick a school, don't pick a coach. So, hey, we love him now. Now you just got to win some games. If he throws a couple picks, I might be pissed,
Yeah,
Let him
pick sixes. He's out.
Yeah,
we don't want you anymore, bud. You can transfer if you want.
Yeah, let him throw a couple picks and lose the game. I'll be driving down there the hill, ready to find him. I'm joking. I'm joking, people.
No one attack Reed because he's threatening our quarterbacks. Please.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so real quick, we didn't talk about this before the show or whatever, and I don't know much about it, but I did hear on the radio that I guess the NCAA is looking at doing some of that stuff where these kids are going to be able to get paid some sort of way, whether it's autographs or doing some sort of advertising, stuff like that. So where would Kyler Kervis, and I didn't prep you at all for this, I just thought about it. So where would Kyler Kervis, while he was at UT, where do you think you could have made some money? Where do you think your opportunities would have been in Knoxville?
Wow. Honestly, I don't know. I was an offensive lineman, so a lot of people don't even want to hear from the offensive lineman. They'd rather have Dobbs or Alvin or Jalen Hurd or, Derek Barnett. I mean, there was a lot of big name guys when I was there. Who knows? Maybe like a plumbing company who was all about dependability. Whatever company that their slogan was being protected or dependability or something like that. Like maybe like a home security system.
There you go.
Maybe I would probably try and reach out to just people I know.
Yes. Yeah.
From around and that own businesses and see if they would want some. I mean, my family, on my mom's side owns Fox Toyota in Clinton, And
Bang. Well, that's okay. So that's a shoe in. So
I probably would have reached out to them, see if there was, an ad or anything that I could do for them. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have gotten as much money as, say a Trevor Lawrence or a Mac Jones or, a big time quarterback, a Heisman winner quarterback or a, Heisman winner wide receiver like Devontae Smith. But geez.
It's funny. I guess as Kyler mentioned earlier, I had a very, very, very non-impressive short college career. I basically said I wanted to play college football. I made it there, and I said, "All right, I'm good. I made it."
Check. Got it off the list.
What's it? Yeah, exactly. But I say that to say I've always been against college athletes getting paid. And I always would argue they do get paid. They get a stipend check. And I remember I had arguments with you. I had arguments with one of our other good buddies, Tyler, who played college football, who was getting $800 or $900 a month. And I would argue with you guys that I saw boys in Memphis that were getting scholarship checks and true stuff. I'm talking in the locker room. They're talking about buying the new 2K. They're going to go get tattoos. They got new Jordans, whatever. And then they want to complain about not being able to have money. And so that's from my point of view, when I saw that kind of made me mad because I was like, you can't have it both ways. Now, I'm all for people getting what they can get. So I'm fine with it. I wanted to always argue that they do get paid. If they want to get more, absolutely get more of the revenue share. But I also told people, like you were just saying, like, we're not dumb. Like, it's for your teams. Yeah, Dobbs, Barnett, Hurd, and Alvin, AK, we're always going to be the ones like, no offense, but like, I'm trying to think of like a starter on your team that was decent, but who's the top, like maybe Ethan Wolf, who was like a tight end then.
Josh Smith.
Yeah, sure. And Josh Smith's even a local kid, so you never know what he would have had, and he was a somewhat of a fan favorite, I would say. But when you get into these recruits or you get into these big time schools, like, yeah, Alabama, yeah, Tennessee, yeah, Texas, yeah, all these big schools make a ton of money, but it's also the Tim Tebow's, the Mark Ingrams, the Vince Youngs, there's one or two guys that are really bringing in the revenue. So that's why I was always kind of annoyed by it and bothered by it because A, they were getting paid, and B, it was only a few guys, or just the brand, the brand Tennessee itself, the brand Texas itself, the brand USC, all these, they make the money themselves. Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's not players. But you made a huge point just then that I didn't think about, that you said you would reach out to players. I never thought about that. And I guess I always thought that it would be car dealerships or people reaching out to certain players, but that's fascinating. Like, legitimately, that's fascinating you said that because, I'm almost like surprised I didn't think about that or what the rules are going to be about that. Because why wouldn't players want to reach out to places? Everybody wants money.
So I think that's why this setup is better than other ways of paying players. It's outside of the university. It's outside of the boosters. It's outside of the NCAA. It is on your own. You can use the fact that you are a good football player to make money for yourself. Just in the same way that a kid who has an academic scholarship for writing at a school can write a book, publish it, and gain money from it while he's in college, she's in college. That is their skill. That is what they are good at. That is the thing that is going to further them in their career, and they can make money off of it. That is the way it should be done for the players. Is I have this skill, but I'm locked in. I cannot make any more money off of what I do, the work that I put in, my biggest skill, which that is the part that is unfair. But Tennessee can make more money off of me, off of everything that I do. They can put a picture of me on a poster and sell it.
they can put my number on a jersey and sell it and make money off of me, but I can't make money off of me. That is what it comes down to. I don't think it was ever, hey, I need more money from the university. I need more money from the school. Because honestly, football programs pay for every other program at a school.
Yeah.
It's how it's broken down. Every football program brings in the most money out of every other sport, and they pay for every other sport to keep running. That's a lot of the ways it works. Now, there's obviously boosters that, you know, either love that sport, that specific sport, say a soccer or a softball, baseball, whatever, or, you know, have a connection to that and want to help sponsor it and help bring in money for it. But when it comes down to it, those programs are run based off of the football program. We're lucky enough at UT to have a great women's basketball and pretty good men's basketball. It's where they can kind of take care of themselves and they don't need the football program. But football pays for both soccer teams. They pay for tennis. They pay for softball. They pay for baseball. So that's something where it's like, oh, we bring in millions and millions of dollars a year. Well, it's not just paying for the football program. It's paying for other stuff too.
That was one of the things that I always talked about too. Is I'd get fired up listening to these people talking about paying these college athletes, and like I said, they do get paid. They do get a scholarship check. They do get an education and stuff like that. Now, I get where you're coming from, saying if they put my number on a jersey, they get money off that, and I should be able to get money off that too. Okay, I'm fine with that. Like I said, I'm always going to be fine with people making the most they can. But, and I get it, there's a lot of slippery slopes in life, but it's such a slippery slope when it's like, well, the football team's going to get paid. So do we have to pay, women's soccer, or do we have to pay the track team or whatever? And this is where I get into it. It should be people who make money should be able to, the ones to profit. Or let me say that didn't sound right. Like if you got a guy or a girl on the cross country team or the track team, and like you said, their dad or their mom owns something or their family owns something, and they want to get brought in, fine, bring them in, pay them some money, let them do something. Yeah, I don't know how much advertising they're going to get from it or how many people are actually going to show up. But that's besides the point. But I just don't want it to be where people feel like I deserve something just because I'm a college athlete. That's not in the world. Like, that's not how it is. Just because you do something, just because you're a part of a team necessarily or a part of something, in my opinion, you shouldn't just, you shouldn't get what the other people who bring in stuff actually get.
I understand that, which is why I don't think it should be from the university. I don't think it should be from that. I think it should be from outside sources. So if you're a player on whatever team you want to be, like literally whatever, and you want to be an influencer and you want to be a YouTube star, something like that, you can do that and make money and be, hey, you're an entrepreneur. You started your own business. You can do all that stuff. Right now in the NCAA, you can't do any of that. You cannot make any kind of money at all doing anything else. You have to get signed off to be able to work a job. It has to check out that you are not getting that because you're an athlete. You're not getting that job because you're an athlete. You're getting the job because you're right for the position. Like, you have to go through things with the NCAA, go through steps and turn in paperwork so that you can get a job, a part-time job, any kind of thing that would bring in money. So that is where it's messed up. I don't think the university should pay athletes. I don't think they should get more money from boosters. I don't think they should get more money from anything else. But if they put in some work and start, what's the right word for it? I mean, just hustling and trying to get more money in for themselves and doing podcasts or making a YouTube channel or, going to signing days, things where they like sign autographs for people and, pay $5 to get in. That's just all them organizing something so they can make money.
So sorry to interrupt, but gotta shout out our newest sponsor, that is eBay. So whether you're looking for rare dead stock or the latest releases, the exact shoe you're looking for is on eBay. It's the original sneaker marketplace, so it's the place to go if you're looking for sneakers. You have to. eBay's got an authenticity guarantee for your sneakers, and it's meticulously inspected by professional authenticators. They give you, verify the box, they verify the logo, the stitching, and dozens of other inspection points. Each sneaker you receive has an authenticity guarantee tag, which includes digital stamp of authenticity, and it also protects sellers with a verified return process. So if you are selling shoes, if you got your hustle going on, you're selling those shoes, eBay has eliminated selling fees of sneakers $100 or more, making it free to sell or flip your collection, which is amazing. So head on over to ebay.com/sneakers today. eBay, the world's best destination for discovering great value and unique selection.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't think of, and that's a good point on yours. I'll have a rebuttal at some point, I'm assuming, but no, you're right. You're right. I guess it's because when I was just out of college or in college, and I just come fresh off playing, or I'm hearing all this stuff, and that's what used to make me mad. But you're right. Like, it should not be a school thing. So, hey, we both know you got some smoke show on the track team. And if she puts some stuff out there and gets, 100,000 followers on Instagram and become an influencer, like, good for her. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, and so, yeah, I get your point now. And for me, it was always about the school, I guess, divvying out the money. Cause I'm like you said, the football team pays for everything anyways. Some of these high level men's college basketball, they pay for everything. So, like, it's not fair for them to make all the money and then sit here and have to divvy it all out even more than they do, is what I'm saying. I'm fine with them doing it some. I just don't want them, it just doesn't seem fair that they're doing it even more. But I can't imagine just sitting here thinking about it. And I know I'll think about it when we're off here, but like the crazy nonsense that it's going to be, like, and I don't know if it's going to be for recruiting, that they're going to have to do something that these people can't make money until they're probably on a campus or something, because if not, all the same big schools are going to throw a ton of money at the big time recruits. That is, just money they're making on their own, quote unquote. But I think
it's going to get annoying too. Like, people are fed up with Baker Mayfield being on every commercial. Imagine watching a national championship game with Alabama and Clemson, and they freaking throw on Trevor Lawrence on a commercial, Mac Jones on a commercial, Devontae Smith's on a commercial. You're just like seeing the players on commercials as you're watching the game. I mean, local broadcast of a Tennessee game, and you see Salter on there. You see, every running back we have, you see all offensive line, like every local commercial has a player on it. Like, that's going to be annoying too.
It is going to be annoying, but I can promise you this: I'd rather see that than be watching national championship game and Alabama and Clemson are playing for the 9 millionth time, and I got to see a kid that they're trying to recruit. Like, I don't need to hear from some 16, 17-year-old from California who thinks he's a stud because he hasn't done anything on the college level yet, but he's, hey, you rocked in high school. Sweet. You want to check tape? But yeah, so but I don't know. And I think the social media, and I didn't think about that once again until you brought that up, but that's where this whole thing is just that's where this whole thing could potentially just blow up. So I don't know. It'll be fascinating to let a lot more intelligent people that have been doing a lot longer than I have to come up with something. And then when they do, I'll tell them they're wrong. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we do here on this podcast. But yeah, I think the main point of it is the controllingness of the NCAA, just how much control they have over the players and their likenesses and everything that goes into it. And I mean, you can't get gifts from people that you met, like literally a birthday gift from someone you met after you became a player. Like, that is illegal in the bylaws of the NCAA. You cannot get a ride from someone that you met in class or anything like that, because if they're giving you that ride because you are a player, it is a benefit that another student wouldn't be getting. That is in the rules, like bylaws for NCAA. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's so stupid.
And
it's so stupid.
Stuff like that is the things where it's like, bro, chill out. Like, you honestly, NCAA, chill out.
But
give these people some freedom.
But let's be honest. The NCAA is not calling people's hands on that crap. Like, they're not. And I get it. It's like almost a formality. Like, get it out of your books. Like you said, chill out. It's over and done with. But, like, they're not calling people's hands on that. Because if they did, like, I mean, for you, definitely got improper benefits because I was coming and picking you up at UT.
See, that's different because we played together. We knew each other in high school.
Okay.
So it's different. Now, if I met you freshman year of college,
yeah, and I was jock sniffing,
and you were jock sniffing, and you were cleat chasing. You wanted to be a part of the
cleat
crew
over here. When I was in Memphis, I went out to my aunt and uncle live in Memphis. So when I was in Memphis, I was joking one time. We were out to dinner and like my uncle, paid for the meal. And I was like, ooh, NCAA violation. I'm like, I bet they really care about a freaking walk-on at Memphis when we were 1-11, the worst team ever. Obviously, it was a joke. I didn't actually think that it was an NCAA violation. But, yeah, it's just funny to look back on that stuff. And but, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Yeah, and people like you and even, no offense, you're the best player I know. So, but the people that were like studs at all or I won't even say studs. You are a stud. I'm saying the people, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers of all these big time schools, they're going to be looking back like, my gosh, I would have absolutely raked it in. And honestly, I feel bad for those guys because there's going to be some of them that were absolute dogs in college that would have made a good amount of money. And they didn't make it in the NFL, whether it was injury or their game didn't translate. But that crap happens all the time. I mean, it really does.
I mean, some of the most exciting players over the past, decade or 2 decades didn't make it in the NFL. I mean, the Johnny Manziels, the Tim Tebows, the Vince Youngs. I mean, Reggie Bush really wasn't in the NFL that long. Like all of those guys were the most exciting college athletes of, the years that they played. And, the NFL wasn't their full-time job for a long time. They maybe 5 years. I don't know how long Reggie Bush is there, but I mean,
I was seen
as like kind of a bust though.
Yeah. I was going to say Reggie Bush might've been honestly, all of those guys still did well because they were either first rounders and they made it long enough. I'm talking about money wise. Yeah. Reggie Bush, I still think he was a good player and he was there long enough to make some good coin. And I was even thinking more about I'm thinking even more about I'll think of somebody, but I mean even those guys got drafted and were there a long time. Let me think of a guy here at UT. I'm just trying to think of somebody who was like a fan favorite. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some fan favorites that I had maybe when I was growing up, when I was younger. So like, what about a Jabari Greer? Like swagged out, dog at safety. I loved him rocking the visors and all that. Like I'm almost positive Jabari Greer didn't. I don't even think he got drafted. I think. You know what I mean? Like he could have, I'm not saying he would have made a ton, but he could have made some, or, Demetrius Morley, who was there, who was a safety, all the linebackers that we've had from time to time.
Jansen Jackson.
Who?
Jansen Jackson.
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually talking about Jansen Jackson last night, randomly, telling a story, but yeah. And that, he could have definitely made some coin. And, but there's just so many of those guys that are kind of like the quote unquote hometown hero type deals for UT that are, that we like and stuff. But somebody in West Virginia, they don't know the player. Someone didn't go to the NFL or whatever. And I wish I could have thought more on the top of my head because I know I have some better examples of it. But I'm talking about the guys that maybe could have made a couple grand over a time period at UT, and anybody can, So, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. But to reiterate what we said in the very beginning, there are a lot of times where I remember stories and I don't share them on the podcast because they never come to my head, and Reed helps me remember them. So we're gonna try a new segment out and try and do it each week called Big Orange Juice. So the juicy stories that I have seen or heard about UT, maybe NFL or anything like that, and then also Reed might have some throughout his life, maybe over at Memphis or even in high school or younger days. So with the Big Orange Juice, I'm going to start with a good one. When I was in college, this is between there was a lot of fights in college. Let's just say that. I think it happens still today. I think it happens all the time, and I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's part of football. When I was there, probably my either redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore year, I think redshirt freshman, we had a fight between a defensive lineman and a wide receiver. The defensive lineman still plays football, plays in the NFL right now, and is a very good player. And the wide receiver named rhymed with Schmick Schmodgers. So whoever that might be. So what happened is we're coming home from summer break. We have a week off in the middle of summer. And we come back and start getting back into workouts. The wide receiver decided to go to the beach after that week. So he was technically gone for 2 weeks, posting about it on social media while, we're working our butts off back at the university, in the weight room every day. And he's on the beach enjoying himself and doing whatever he wants to do. And he comes back afterwards, first day back on a Monday. And, our strength coach said, look, I'm not going to say anything to him, but I think you guys should. I think someone should. And the senior defensive lineman was the one to do it. Walked up to him. We were kind of all standing. Literally everyone was there. We were all standing around. And just very casually was in his face. He started holding his hands in a prayer symbol. And if you've ever seen a fight, if someone starts holding their hands like this, you better duck because they're about to swing on you. He starts holding his hands like this, saying, I need you to apologize. You need to say sorry. I swear I will knock you out right now. I swear I will knock you out right now. This is not a joke. You cannot be doing this. And the wide receiver at the time was coming back at him saying, I don't give a crap what you say. I'll do whatever the hell I want. And he was like, I will smack the hell out of you if you do not apologize right now. He's like, I don't give a what you say. And reared back. And the loudest smack, we were in an indoor facility, the loudest smack you've ever heard echoed throughout the whole thing. He slapped him straight across the face. And that's almost more disrespectful than punching someone, is smacking a man in the face. That in turn caused a brawl. People jumping in on it because we were all surrounding this altercation. People jumping in on it, throwing punches, trying to pull people off. Very exciting. And I think this was about a month and a half into me being a part of a college football program. So very fun way to realize what college football is all about and the kind of stuff that might happen in a locker room or with a team.
So listeners, this this is the stuff that I would get on phone calls. This is the good stuff that you guys didn't get to hear, and it would make me mad because I'm like, Kyler, you should have said that on the podcast. Like, even if one or two people hear the story, like it's one or two people that are going to enjoy the heck out of this. So okay, first off, I know who the people are. Both of them, and everyone knows the receiver that you just mentioned is a big boy. So like he's not, and I was going to interrupt you, but I didn't want to, but like he's not a small wide receiver. He's a big boy. So first off, I got a million questions. All right. So you guys first off, Dooley was the coach, right?
Yes, Dooley was a coach at this time.
Okay. The receiver was a freshman?
Or
no, he was.
No, because I was a freshman, so he had been there a year or two.
Okay. Now you guys had it was a 2-week dead period, right?
1 week.
Okay. So 1 week, and he straight up, from what you know, didn't talk to coaches, didn't anything. Y'all went out, everybody was gone a week, come back, and everyone's like, hey, where is he? Where's 2-1? Like, why is he not here? And then the only reason you guys know that he's on a beach somewhere is because on social media.
Yes, exactly. He posted about it on social media, like picture of him and a girl on the beach.
Okay. And then, so who was it Coach Lawson at the time?
No, it was Coach McKeefrey. Was our strength conditioning coach. And he did not like this wide receiver at all, because
which I can understand why. Yeah.
He was very against anything that he did not believe helped him in football. So if he did not believe the weight room was really doing anything for him in football, he didn't care for it. He didn't want to do it. Now, he busted his ass in practice, this wide receiver. He would kill it in practice, always gave his best effort in games, but in the weight room, he just didn't see it as important. He didn't see like eating the right way as important. He didn't see school as important towards his football. So he didn't care, didn't try.
And that's so tough, because I was about to blast him, which he doesn't care that I'm blasting him. It doesn't matter. But as a player and as a fan, I look at the coach and be like, you got to do something about this. And I get it. Dooley's like, he's one of our best players. We need him to win. I've told you many times before, like, it's easier said than done, but like, I'd rather win with a bunch of, well, I guess keyword there, win. I'd rather compete with a bunch of tryhards, and a bunch of just dogs that want to. We've all been on teams, and I don't care, the listeners, what teams you've been on, whether it's middle school, high school, college, pro, whatever. Like, a team's a team. That's how you really are going to win games. And so that just pisses me off. Like I said, I do respect that at least he practiced hard. At least he wasn't out there dogging ass in the practice field.
Well, you say, you keep him on the team because he helps you win, and you can't really do much about it. The following year, we signed Cordero Patterson,
right,
in the recruiting class, and 2 weeks into training camp, 2 weeks of him practicing and seeing what he could do on the practice field, this wide receiver we're talking about was released from the team.
Right, and I
so
get
as soon as there was an opportunity to release him, there was an opportunity to say, oh, we have someone who's just as good, and it doesn't come with all this baggage, we'll see you. You can leave.
Yeah, but my argument to that is, so here's for the listeners, this is going to be our first, like, on the phone argument that we would have. But like, for me, like, the damage has been done. Like, people know Dooley's, you can walk all over Dooley. We've all heard the stories. You've told me some about stuff at practice and how he was. And I think even him at practice with this same wide receiver, but it's like, as a player, you've seen that. You're a freshman. You're a 4-star recruit coming in. You're a pretty big time recruit, and you're seeing this. So Dooley's got no backbone, or that he's going to let that certain people can walk all over him. And like, we know to a certain extent that can happen, but it shouldn't. And so, like, and I'm going to be honest with you, some of the stuff that I know about CP, when I was in college at that time, like, he was somewhat of the same way, I think, if I'm not speaking out of turn here. Like, CP wasn't showing up to class and he wasn't doing that stuff. So he was basically like, the other wide receiver. But anyways, like back to the story on hand. So the only coach that ever said to you guys that you all should say something was the strength coach, right? No other coaches.
Well, at that time, no other coaches are really there.
That's right. You're right.
That's
It's
something
summer.
that people don't really understand is that, like, there's a huge time block in the spring. Like, if you're not having spring practice, coaches are gone. They're recruiting. In the summer, if you're not having practice, coaches are gone. They're recruiting. So, yeah, no one was really there. Your strength coach is a coach you probably get the closest with on a college football team. And he was the only one there. He was the one to say, hey, something should happen.
Well,
what it is,
I agree.
but something.
Yeah. And I'm happy that he said that. Dooley still had to know. Some of these other coaches still had to know, even if they were out recruiting or whatever. And, it has to be handled somewhat. So anyways, but back to the story. So is everyone like straight up standing around? So like in a circle, like a fight's about to happen. Like, so everyone kind of knows what's about to go down.
Yeah. Like when I say Coach McKeefery was like, hey, something should happen, it was literally, he brought us all up and said, this is what happened. I cannot do anything. I will be out of it, but I think something should happen, and walked away.
So
he brought everyone up. Yeah, so he brought everyone up and literally said that in front of all of us.
Even the wide receiver.
Okay, and then walked away.
Okay, because I thought when you first told the story that this was like the week you guys are busting butt. It's like, hey, when he gets back, someone needs to say something to him. No. So I love that the receiver was standing there because he knew probably who it was. But wow. So were people like yelling? Were they like stuff? Was anybody taking the wide receiver side at all? Was like
other wide receivers were that play with him for a while and like him as a person and hung out with him. They were boys. They were trying to take the wide receiver side and jump in on the fight on his side. But
they weren't defending him for what he did, though, right? Because I mean,
I don't. It was never a defense for what he did. It was never, oh, he's fine doing that. It was, hey, that's my boy. I'm not going to let you jump him, or I'm not going to let you fight him. Like, I'm going to be in on it.
Okay.
But I mean, most people on the team were like, yeah. Like, thank you for smacking the shit out of him, because it honestly is very annoying that I'm like throwing up in the corner doing this workout and he just walks around, doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. So when the smack happens, does Smick Scrodgers does he just start throwing fists too? Like,
yes.
Who got the better of the fight, or what happened? Like I said, these are big boys.
So no one necessarily got the better of the fight. It was pandemonium once the smack happened. I think because of the smack, it can be seen as the defensive lineman got the better of it.
Sure.
Because there wasn't many like landed punches after that. Because 3 or 4 guys were trying to fight also, and then all the other ones were trying to pull it apart.
Yeah.
Pull it apart, not fight. Let's, go our separate ways kind of stuff. So it didn't necessarily lead to huge black eyes or anything like that, but it was, hey, this guy is willing to smack the crap out of you if you step out of line, which is a lot of times what teams need. Almost an enforcer on the team to be like, I'm going to hold you accountable to whatever happens. And I do believe that a lot of teams don't have that right now, in college at least.
Agreed. How did it, real quick, how did it go after? Did they ever make up? Did it leave a division in the team? How did it go after?
I don't think they ever made up personally. Yeah. I think, they still didn't like each other. Jurek did not work out that day. He he left. He went back to the locker room, which is fine, whatever. And I think that, there was probably some arguing and stuff like that for a couple days, but then it died down and it was fine. And that was the thing too, is no one really had a problem with the defensive lineman doing it.
Yeah.
It was seen as just.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this was not what I was going to tell for my Big Orange Juice story, but real quick, and I might tell the full details later, but when I was in college, I was working at a gym. There was a son of a big-time defensive coordinator here. So one of the sons, I met the son of the defensive coordinator that was here for a long time during the national championship years, during all that. And I actually became friends with him. And obviously I loved hearing stories about the national championship team and all those guys that were there. You know that one of my favorite players of all time is Al Wilson. And so I would always ask him about Al and some of that different stuff. And I remember him telling me the story, and I think it's well known, or I'm positive it's well known, that I guess it was the Florida game one year or whatever, and Peyton's a big deal. I mean, Peyton is the deal, and he's thrown a couple interceptions, and Al walks over to him, and he's like, if you throw another effing interception, I'm going to beat your ass. Like, and of course I hear that story back in college and I'm like, oh my God, incredible. Like I'm mesmerized. But the thing is like Al Wilson could do that because nobody's messing with Al Wilson. But it was also a different, like you said, back in that day, it was probably a different environment now. I don't think people are wired certain ways. And in a way, I kind of give Peyton Manning kudos. Whether he did it because he was scared and didn't want to get his ass beat, or because he knew that that Al was right and that he was the younger guy and that he needed to listen to the leaders of the team. But I always thought that was cool. I'll tell the full story at some point. Like I said, everyone knows that, but it just reminded me of when you were talking about that happening. I mean, you just have to have that. And honestly, a lot of people, it's not ever going to work well because nowadays the other person's just not going to be like, he's a leader. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I love that story. I've never heard that before, and definitely makes me more of a fan, even more of a fan of Al Wilson. The fact that you said that, and I wonder if Peyton threw another interception, or if he was just like lights out the rest of the game.
Yeah. No, it was the funny thing is it was when Peyton was younger, and I don't know if it was the Florida game. Or it might have been the SEC championship game. I need to reach out to that guy and ask him again. I forget what it was, but I just remember Al was like, "Hey, bro, like, be a game manager, and the defense is gonna win this game for you. I'll look into it and tell you and figure out what it was." But it was awesome when he told me that, and of course, me being like, "Oh my gosh, he said that to Peyton." And you got to think of the dynamic on that team. Like Peyton was still young; like, he was probably a freshman or sophomore. Like Al Wilson was that dude. So, but anyways,
I really do wish I would have known this story when I was in college, because I got a chance to meet Peyton a few times and been able to ask him if it was, if he actually said it. Man, I don't know if I will ever see Peyton Manning ever again. But if I ever run into him again, some kind of VFL function or at a game on the sidelines or something like that, I'm definitely going to ask him about it.
Incredible. It would be.
For sure, because he is such a cool, laid-back guy. Like the first time I met him, he was like, "Hey, you guys are offensive linemen." I was with another offensive lineman. We were like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you drink beer?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Good. I don't trust my offensive lineman who doesn't drink beer." I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm good in Peyton's book."
That's almost like a dad joke. You know, he comes back to throw every year and he like wants it's like, bro, you don't have to be funny. Like they're going to love you. You're Peyton Manning at UT, but like he comes in, gives an old dad joke and starts slinging around, you know?
Yeah. Like I'm snapping a ball to you and I'm freaking trembling over here because I'm snapping to a Hall of Fame quarterback and I'm trying not to break your damn fingers. Like you're already on the good side. Like you don't have to worry about being a jokester.
Talk about breaking his fingers. He was still playing all those times he would come back and throw with you guys. So,
well, that story of when he was talking about the beer thing, that was the off season. He had the neck issues. And
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it was like
didn't know if he was going to play. That like when he came back and was like working out in our weight room, like was on the fence. Like people didn't know what he was going to do at that point.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't ask him about it, but
Yeah.
hey, you gonna give me the inside scoop here, Peyton? Where are you going? You going to the Titans?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean he came back. It's another funny story. He came back to Tennessee when he was with the Broncos, and was doing routes with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks, and some of us offensive linemen go over there. Now, only a few of us know how to snap, right? So we're over there snapping to him and the other quarterbacks, and there's a freshman center on our team that, let's just say, isn't that great of a player. And Hawk, Alan Sitzler, who's equipment manager, has been there way before Peyton, so forever, good friends with Peyton, was like, hey, don't take a snap from this guy. Like, just take it from the other guys, not him, though. Like, I don't want you to break a finger over here. And I thought that was so funny. Like, dude's just waiting for an opportunity to snap to Peyton Manning, a Hall of Famer, and like, dude, that was gonna make that. Peyton's like coming up and like, oh yeah, I'll wait for the next center.
He really waited for the next center.
Yes, he would not take a snap from this freshman offensive lineman, which in hindsight was probably a good idea. I saw that guy literally in practice take a knee. He was at center, had his hand on the ball, and took a knee and turned around to look at the quarterback. And we joked and we're like, I think we just lost it down there. You literally took a knee on the play as a center. Like, I think we lost it down. Like, you would have lost it down like in a game. So,
dude, that poor kid, that was like gonna be his like shining moment. He could tell all of his buddies, and now he doesn't even get to. It would be a better story for him if you told him, he's like, hey man, you actually didn't get the snap because we were worried you were gonna hurt Peyton.
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah, he missed out on a grand opportunity. I mean, I am lucky enough to say that I've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks put the back of their hands on my gooch. So
yeah,
I feel pretty special about that.
You had the 2 goats, and we'll get into this some other time. Touch your butt. So Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and me, all the ones that have touched your dudes.
Yeah, of course. Don't forget, Jameis Winston for a time period. Mike Glennon, some other Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Big neck Glennon.
Jacoby Brissett.
Nice.
Who's Jimmy Garoppolo?
Hey, there you go. So, pretty boy Jimmy.
Yeah, I've had the Nate Petermans of the world. I've had a few of them.
Yeah, you get around down there, I guess.
No kidding. As a center, you really do get around more than you think.
All right, I'm gonna tell mine quick because I mean we could sit here and talk all day. And
I know this will probably be my longest podcast.
Yeah, and so that's why I want to wrap it up so people aren't snoozing, and they want to actually listen to when we come back, because I do think the Big Orange Juice will be our best segment, because we're going to tell stuff that people in regular media wouldn't tell, stuff that they might not have access to. And so we all know Knoxville's a small area, and luckily, like, and basically everybody knows everybody, but you and I get to go to Knoxville Catholic, and we were around certain people, and we were around certain people that had a lot of money. And so I actually grew up in Nashville until 4th grade, came to Sacred Heart in 5th grade, and became friends with just kids. I'm a huge UT fan, but at that age, you're a huge UT fan, and you got buddies, and I get invited over to a house, one of the biggest, nicest houses I've ever been to. And you're like, man, this is incredible. Like, got a pool table. As a kid, you're just like, you're not thinking about what I'm about to talk about, but you're just like, I'm a UT fan. Okay, great. And then you run into UT football players at this house, and you're not thinking like, wait, why is this college kid? Because at that time when you're in middle school, they're college kids, but yeah, like to us, they're like, they're big deals. Like they're our role models. And so my quick story
They're
is
gods
one day
at that point.
it's really, yeah, I didn't want to say it, but you're right. I mean, we look up to them like they're the coolest person in the world. And so anyways, I get invited over to this house and I'm there and we're hanging out and we're spending the night. And the next thing I know, the next morning, I'm like on the couch or a sleeping bag and I'm getting woken up by a mammoth of a man. And I'm like, what is going on? And it's Kevin Simon, who he's wearing like a cutoff. And I'm like seeing this dude's traps and this guy's arms. And I'm like, this guy is an animal. But like, it was so cool because I'm just at someone's house spending the night. And then you wake up and it's Kevin Simon was a good example of earlier. Like he was a fan favorite type deal. He's a really good player here, a huge recruit coming from California, but didn't quite make it in the NFL. But at that time, like it was him and Kevin Burnett, 2 and 5, like those were the guys at linebacker. We thought they were so cool. And I'm getting woken up and he's throwing us around and wrestling with us. It was a great guy. I mean, great guy, treated us so awesome. And it was just so fun to have him around. So then I'm like, every time I go to that house, I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to get to see Kevin Simon. And every time I would go there, I would get to see Kevin Simon. And like, he would just be so funny. And so it was just so awesome. And it was such a unique experience that I didn't realize I got to have until I was older. And then I obviously didn't put 2 and 2 together like, why was this Kevin Simon at these quote unquote wealthy people's homes? And so it was the kid's birthday one time and we're all over there and we're going to like Wasabi's, Japanese steakhouse, and Kevin Simon's joining us for dinner. And so we go back to the house and we're playing Xbox and stuff. And, Kevin Simon's going off doing college kid things. And so I remember we're staying up late and we're like going down to the kitchen to like get some snacks or food. It's like 2:33 in the morning. Now, mind I tell you, we went to a Japanese steakhouse that night. And me, I love to eat. And even at this age, I was like, bro, I'm about to go down here and I'm about to smash my leftovers. We turned the corner and good old Special K, a.k.a. Kevin Simon, had just gotten back from, whatever bar he was at, whatever party he was at. And he's standing in the kitchen with the refrigerator door open with a to-go box. And he is smashing this food. And at that point, I was like, I love Kevin Simon. But like, bro, that's my teriyaki chicken. Like,
you gonna fight him?
That's what I was about to say. Like, how do I handle this? I'm like 85 pounds, 100 pounds. No, but anyways, like that was just stories that like, they just became normal. They became normal for us. Like when you're around certain people and then you look back on it, and all this came about a couple episodes ago when we were talking about the players getting paid and all that stuff. And you and I got into a conversation and we were talking about different boosters and different this and different that. And then we talked about this family and we're like, yeah, like, they're 100% boosters. They were 100% probably doing things that they shouldn't be done. And I say all that to say this, like as a kid, it was a great experience for me. And as a fan, I hope your boy Heupel does it too. Because if people think, and everyone knows that there's cheating and everyone knows that there's improper benefits. And as a fan, I can say this, that we got to be really careful about it now because of all the crap that happened with Pruitt. And I know you and I have argued that you want someone to come in and run a good, clean program. And that's true. Like I'm not saying that to boaster you as like a good old boy, ball for life, but like, that's actually how you are. And morally, we look the same way, both good moral people. I guess I just don't attach my morals to college football because I'm a sicko fan and I want to win. So I want Heupel to cheat because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying in that world. But, we'll dive into that another time, the whole cheating stuff. But it was cool growing up and getting to be around. And he wasn't the only player I got to be around, and all the different stories that you get to hear that maybe some other fans don't know. And hopefully we'll get to bring some more of the juicy stuff. So yeah, it was cool that I got to hang out with some of the players when they were, receiving their improper benefits.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something that people imagine is going on. They don't actually know, and it's
Yes.
definitely happening throughout the entire country. It's not just here. It's just we know about it because we're from here.
Right.
Definitely happening at the Alabamas and the Clemsons and the Ohio States and all the teams that you've seen be very
Notre
good.
Dame. Yeah.
Yeah, every team you've seen be very good over the past 20 years, it happened. It happened where they're at. So never think that anybody is innocent in
Yes.
football. But that is the Big Orange Juice. Hopefully you enjoyed the juicy stories that we had. And we will try and make sure and have one each week so you can understand more of behind the scenes kind of stuff. So I'm so glad that we're doing this now, Reed. I'm so glad that you're here now, that you're part of this. And look forward to all the great conversations we're going to have. And we'll try and keep our conversations during the week to a minimum so we have the good stuff for you guys to listen to. And yeah, I think that's a good podcast. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I'm stoked that you asked me to do it. And like to the fans, to the people that listen, I hope that I hope they enjoy it, and we will tighten it up. We'll do better not rambling on so much and get to the good stuff. But no, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon, and love you, brother.
Yeah. So for whoever out there wants to listen, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Pods, anywhere you listen to podcasts. I now have a YouTube channel, Believe in Tennessee Football. So check us out there. Follow us on social media at Kyler Kerbison on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Reed, what are some of your handles?
I will get those to you next time.
Okay. Yeah,
I haven't been on it in a while, but and you got the bigger following than I do, but
yeah,
I'll start pumping it.
If you want to follow Reed Bacon, search Reed Bacon, and you might be able to find him. And then also have the phone line. If you want to send in questions, texts, or voicemails, that is 865-322-9232. Also, you can send emails to believeintennessee.football@gmail.com if you have any questions there or any topics you want us to cover. So appreciate you guys listening or watching. Please rate and subscribe. Let all your friends and family know. And as always, go Vols.